What's going on, everybody? Welcome back again for another Waterfowl Wednesday.
Waterfowl Wednesday.
Just like the intro.
Yep.
I just doubled myself up there.
It's all good.
Me and Trevor tonight talked to some really, I don't know.
This is one to remember.
Yeah.
If you are from our area, you are gonna love this.
Even if you aren't, it's definitely two people that you hear about, or like legend, I guess you want to say, in the area.
Yeah.
That have been around for a while and definitely informational on the history of this area.
Yeah. This is gonna be one to remember. I absolutely love this episode.
Yeah.
This episode was almost kind of heartfelt in a way because I grew up at Pointe Mouillee.
Yeah. No,
and knowing the history, and these guys are actually the head coordinators of the Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Festival,
which is Bob and Dick Whitwam. So I mean, it was a pleasure having them on tonight. And,
unreal.
Yeah, just it's one of those that you'll look back and even just think of the stuff that happened before.
Yeah.
Just happened before, like you even thought about anything like that, or like it was just you almost went back in time. Almost, I felt like
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, he was talking about the old stories back in the day, and
he brought up the 40s. I think it was
the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s,
and he knew like everything of those years.
Yep, he remembered specific details, and like Lake Erie Metro Park in the area, how it wasn't around, and then.
Yeah, the houses on islands, I didn't even know
the
about.
House that was by my house right now, that wasn't even the state land area yet.
Oh, even on the island.
Celeron.
Rat.
Or Rat, yeah, I didn't even.
Sugar is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, Sugar, yeah. But Rat Island, I didn't even know there was a house on it.
Yeah.
At one point.
Either.
It was honestly crazy to listen to these stories. So Bob, he's a younger guy. But Dick, he is 84 years old.
Wow, he still thinks he's 82, I think.
Or 83. One of two.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was an honor having them on and talking, and it's just, I don't know, it was unbelievable. It was almost a 2-hour long podcast. So
yeah, and for the ones that don't know, like the Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Festival, it's a very local waterfowl festival around here that we're ourselves are trying to grow a little bit bigger and help out and do what we can, and giving back with, just even to the community and getting that just bigger and back to where it was and to a point,
Yeah, I mean, me and you are on the same page. Obviously, we're two different companies, but trying to get back to the community and trying to help out as much as we can.
Right.
To a point.
And we'll both be there. And if you are looking to get there, either get a hold of me or you.
Yep.
Or at the end of the podcast, there's the info to contact them for a booth.
Yep. Booths are free.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Because we got quite a few guys coming up for booths.
Yeah. Yep. It should be a good time. I'm excited for it. One thing I do want to say is I want to apologize for the noise from the dog chewing on antlers or sneaking around. She was a little pain in the butt tonight, a little thief.
She's all right.
On the wall.
She's sleeping now.
Oh, she's out. She's out. But, no, with, I guess, further ado, hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah. I guess we'll get right into it.
Let's do it. Welcome back, everybody, for another Waterfowl Wednesday. Here with Trevor.
How you doing?
Doing good, dude.
Doing good.
We got two very special guests today that I've been very excited about. Two big names in our community that a lot of other people are probably going to know in multiple different states. We got Bob and Dick Whitwam. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Good. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
We're hanging in there.
Hanging in there as best you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. That's all you can ask for.
Yep.
So if the people that don't know you, the people that are listening to the podcast, wherever they're at, would you guys mind saying who you guys are or what you guys are about?
Well, all our lives we've lived on Lake Erie, mostly. I lived on a farm for a while on Breland Road, and I lived there till 1950. Then we moved over in Brownstown Township. At that time, it was Brownstown Township. Gibraltar was Brownstown Township.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So at that back then, that was in the late 1940s and early 1950s, and then we moved over on Newman Road off Allen. Lived there till 1960. And then just before that, that's when I got married. And before that, I was the only one in my family that hunted ducks.
Hey, only one.
Only one. Nobody hunted ducks. My dad was a pheasant hunter and a rabbit hunter. And he didn't want nothing to do with ducks. So my grandpa gave me a 12-gauge shotgun, single shot. I went on, they lived down in Breast Bay, off Pointe and Poe Road, and I'd go down there and hunt off Heston's Pier by myself. Didn't even have a license or nothing.
I didn't know
you needed one.
Yeah.
No duck stamps, no nothing. So I'd go down there, and every time I shot the gun, the forearm would fly off. So then I had to put that back in, put a shell back in there, and shoot. And I had my decoys. I had some decoys that was made by the guy that made the decoys for the Mouillee shooting club. I didn't know it then.
Right.
I didn't know what they were. I just found some old scrap decoys. Well, I didn't have enough. I only had like 6 or 8, so I hunted off Heston's Pier down there in Breast Bay by myself, and I'd get in a rock pile. Well, I didn't have enough decoys, so I got some gallon cans and paid them black and white. And my grandpa worked his forge, and he'd bring me home some big nuts off some bolts or something, and I used them for sinkers. So I used them. I hunted down there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years by myself.
Okay.
And I didn't have a duck stamp or nothing because I didn't know you needed one. I didn't know anything about waterfowl hunting other than what I read in the book and seen.
Right.
You know, and there was a guy that lived by my grandparents, and he was a duck hunter. So I just watched him. I didn't watch him hunt, but he'd come into the house with ducks and all that, and I'd get all excited. So anyway, that's pretty much it. That's how I started hunting by myself. And I had one guy come down there, he snuck up on me with a .22 rifle and was shooting my decoys. And it scared the heck out of me, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it didn't go too good for him
I said,
afterwards.
oh. So I turned around and yelled at him. He took off running.
Shooting all your milk jugs out there.
Yeah, so anyway, that's how I got started. And then in 1957, I graduated from high school. I went to Trenton High School, and I graduated with honors. I was the bottom of the class.
Hey, we've all been there.
And there was 175 people in the class, and everybody got graded on numbers. If you were the smartest, you were number 1. You know, I was number 174. And then I went to South Road School on Breland and Allen Road, where the board office is now.
Oh, okay.
That was a one-room wooden schoolhouse. That's where I went to school, and we rang the bell with a rope.
Okay.
And we had a school bus, and it was red, white, and blue. Never had yellow school buses.
Red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Need to bring that back.
Yeah. I mean, to think there was even farms on Breland back then. I mean, like, you know, now it's just all cement buildings everywhere.
Yeah.
And
The guy by the name of Jerry Stark, he was a custodian and a bus driver.
Both.
At the school, both, yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none. Is what I say. I think it was.
This is long before McLeod Steel.
Oh, way before.
Wow.
This was back in the 50s.
That's
50s
crazy.
and 60s. Well, in 1957, I graduated from high school, and I got a job at Elizabeth Park.
Wow.
I worked at Elizabeth Park. Well, I hooked up with a guy by the name of Jim McElhaney.
Okay.
And
Name sounds
at
familiar.
that time, he lived in Trenton at the end of West Road on the river. And he's the guy that got me started really into duck hunting. And I was a sneak shooter for quite a few years.
Okay.
And he kept his boat here in Gibraltar at the island.
Horse Island.
Oh, Horse Island.
Horse Island.
Horse Island, yep.
Okay.
And then he moved over on Swan Island on Grosse Ile and had it over there. And my dad used to take me over there and drop me off. I didn't have a car then.
Right.
So, anyway, I'd go over there and we'd go hunting right there at Swan Island. There's so many ducks. We'd get off work at 3 o'clock and we'd have our limit before dark.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you how many ducks we shot because I might still end up in jail.
That's funny.
Anyway, canvasback, redhead, and bluebill were everywhere. I mean, you couldn't even keep them out of the decoys, and that place was full of celery beds. There were celery beds all over the place.
Okay.
And the guys and the kids and in Gibraltar, they hunted the middle ground, mostly between Cap and Celeron. They hunted the middle ground out there, mostly. Hidalgo hunted out there for years. That's where he hunted from, his house. He lived right there, and then he ended up being the village president before it was a city. Freddie Wall, he's another one. I know quite a few of them. Bob.
Chip. Yeah.
The hip boot guys that run the races all the time.
Oh, jeez.
Put you in the spot there a
Clive
little bit.
Taylor,
Clive Taylor.
Okay.
who no one could ever beat in a rowing contest.
Really?
Or punting. Ask any of the guys that that competed against him in the festival.
No kidding.
The guy was incredible.
See, here's all this. I'm going to get off track a little bit.
That's all right.
No,
That was some
yeah.
rabbit
Because
holes.
the festival used to be called the Michigan Duck Hunter Tournament.
Which Pointe Mouillee now? Just so like for people
Primarily
that
Waterfowl Festival. Now it was,
right.
we changed the name of it in 1990,
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
92, somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly, but we changed the name of it because we had a lot of other activities that we put on the agenda besides just the duck hunter tournament that was on the water. Because back when they started, everybody came there with their own equipment, their own boats, their own decoys, and we had layout shooting out there and boat races and blind shooting and layout and snake shooting, but everybody brought their own equipment.
Right.
So what happened was, it got to be so long, we were in the dark before a lot of people couldn't even get done. After that, we said, hey, look, we're going to do it. We're going to put all our stuff in there. We're going to buy the marsh boats and the punt boats and the layouts and all that. We'll put that out there. And then you guys, we'll use our equipment. You guys just show up. So, and then
It got to where it would take almost to dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had to shorten it up, so bring our own stuff.
yeah.
And they also had a duck plucking contest.
Oh man, so it
And
got
then-
like everything and
Oh,
anything.
everything with waterfowl.
Wow.
But we got shut down with the duck plucking. But Dad was the last person to win it.
Really?
Really?
We get up on top of the garage down there with our legs hanging over the side and pick them ducks. And Bob Barrow, who worked at the old Pointe Mouillee Shooting Club, he told me some tricks about plucking ducks about a week or two before I got in the contest, because I was in 2 contests and I didn't win the first one. I was choking on feathers.
Making pillows out of it.
So then he told me, he said, Dick, listen, he was a custodian in Rockwood School. That's where I went to school, grade school.
Yeah.
After I left South Road, because I only went to 4th grade there. And then I went to the 8th grade there in Rockwood. And he was a custodian, and he knew I liked to duck hunt. I liked waterfowl. So he was telling me about, because I've been going to the duck hunters tournament since 1953. I went around with a stick with a nail in it, picking up papers.
Jeez,
And there wasn't nobody's booths or anything selling anything. People
Awesome.
drove right in the parking lot and parked and sold stuff out of the back of their trucks if they had anything.
So it's more of just a community thing where people just got together about like waterfowl in general.
Fill the parking lot.
Right.
The guys that would come there to get in the contest came from all over.
Really?
Newport, Monroe, Luna Pier.
Well, you didn't have the big box stores.
Right.
And if kids needed clothes, like myself, you bought it out of the
You
back of
bought
a
it
pickup.
Yeah. Wow.
Boots, jackets, waders,
Is there?
yeah, decoys, you named it, shotgun shells.
So it's almost like a Cabela's on wheels in a sense.
Back in the day, yeah.
Wow.
Back then, you loaded your shells
Right.
with lead.
Right.
And I loaded all my shells, even for the kids, when they started hunting. Jim and Bob. Anyway, so what they would do is go to the shooting. What is that?
She's messing with
Golly,
dog.
Golly, come over here. Your antler's right there.
Jeez. Sorry.
Go to the shooting ranges where they had trap shooting and stuff,
Yeah.
clay pigeons. And the guys were shooting lead at the time. They leave their shells there. Bob and Jim, they went down there and pick up all the shells, empties.
Right.
Well, then they'd go to Pointe Mouillee to the duck hunters tournament when they were kids and sell them out of the back of the truck.
No kidding.
Oh, we had a truckload.
Really?
We'd sell skeet. We'd pick it up as they would throw them. As soon as they were done, we'd go in the fields and pick all that stuff up.
So you're picking up empty shells and
Everything.
whatever, and selling.
Yeah, we would sell all that stuff.
Pigeons. The pigeons too, they wouldn't break all of them, so they'd
Yeah.
pick up those.
Really?
And some guys loved it, some guys hated it, because we'd turn around and sell it back, a box case for like $2.
Wow.
Then we go to the store. Back then the road went straight all the way to Lee Road.
Okay, yeah.
And then they closed all that off.
Yeah.
That's crazy to even think about that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
used to buy my lead and my loading equipment from a guy in Newport, not Newport, Frenchtown down
Okay.
on Vivian Road.
Okay.
Farmer down there now, I can't remember his name. But that's where I got the loading material, and myself and a guy named Ralph Gomo, who passed away here a couple of years ago, lived down in Melville Beach. Him and myself and his brother Nelson loaded the shells back then. You loaded one at a time.
Do you remember when they went to steel? Like what year that was?
What's
When
that?
they went to steel compared to lead shot for birds? I know I kind of put you on the spot.
No, but I don't remember the exact year, but it was sometime in the 80s.
I mean, that had been a riot for most
Anyway,
people going to that.
Oh,
we
it's
hated
different.
it. We
Right.
hated the steel shot
Right.
because I always used 7.5 shot the layout motor out in the lake. That's all I used was 7.5
Which is crazy to even think about nowadays.
lead.
Right.
And then we went to steel. I went to number 2s and number 3s and whatever.
Right.
We shot whatever we could get.
1992.
1992.
Okay.
1992 is when non-toxic shot was required for waterfowl hunting.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that was when we went to the lead deal and then, or the steel. And a lot of the manufacturers, they weren't ready for that.
Right.
They had to improve that, which they have. They've improved it a lot.
Oh, for sure. Especially with bismuth and tungsten.
Yeah. So anyway, we got used to using the steel now, so it's got a lot better. And then after the sneak shooting years that I did that, I got tight with Jim Foote, and him and I started hunting together. And every time I started out, I was a guide.
Okay.
And I started guiding, and every time somebody called him to go hunting, he would call me. And then I had a boat. I always had a boat. I had more than a boat. Then I built a layout boat. My boys, they would shoot so many ducks out of there, it embarrassed me.
Oh, we don't got to talk about that now either.
I don't want to get into the details.
Yeah.
But there was years that we were allowed 15 bluebill a day.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
back in the 70s.
Now you can only shoot what,
I think
2?
one at a certain time of year, correct?
Yeah, it goes 1, and it after October 23rd, it goes up to 2.
Yeah.
So when I was a little kid, I used to see him come back in the boat, and I would help clean the ducks, and then I'd pull them off the boat, and the whole steel hull boat was loaded
Holy
from bow to stern with ducks.
And I mean, bluebills, I mean, that's nuts though. 15
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, if 4 guys went out or 5, whatever, we got 15 ducks apiece.
Right.
And we'd stack them up on the stern of the boat. I had a steel hull inboard for the big boat. And then we had a layout boat that I built. And we had 2 pickup boats. And we still got, I don't have the original pickup boat. I sold it and went to New York or someplace.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So anyway,
That's crazy.
I can tell you all kind of stories about these kids who were out in the lake. Bobby, he took over I chartered for about 20 years.
Okay.
I guided for about 20 years, and I couldn't do it. It got too busy. I was doing it every day,
Yeah.
and I didn't even get a chance to hunt a lot of times.
You don't get to enjoy it. I mean,
And
they're
plus,
just
I
a
wanted to
job.
spend time with these guys,
Right.
and
Well, we used to go.
I'll tell you, they got pretty good. They probably good. Bobby got really into it, and I got rid of my steel hull inboard. That's another story. But anyway, I bought the boat and I had an engine put in it right here.
Okay.
Jim rolled.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah. I had a Chrysler engine put in it. V8. It had a Ford in it, and it was kaput. The guys that we used to hunt with gave us the boat. I hunted with a guy by the name of Jim Hale.
I know him. Yeah. Okay.
He lived in Carlton.
Yeah, my grandpa knew him, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's a legend, no matter where he goes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this
Good or
story.
bad.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this story that I know a lot of people don't know about. He does. But Bob does. But I worked with Jim in
Okay.
the steel mill. I was a welder and he was a millwright.
Okay.
So I kept trying to get him to go duck hunting, you know. We hunted fox too. We
Okay.
had
Gotcha.
15 Walker foxhounds.
Wow.
And we killed a lot of fox. That's another story. Anyway, I said, Jim, you got to go duck hunting with me. He said, no, I'm not going out there. He said, I'll go with you. And he said, I'll bring something to eat. So he went. We got in the boat and we're going out through the canal system where I live down there at Strauch's Point. And I went out. Excuse me. There were so many ducks. They opened up like this, and we went through them, and they closed in behind us. That's how many birds was out there, and 90% of them were bluegill.
Wow.
And
Wish it could be like that again.
Yeah.
Jim says, "Hey," he said, "take me back. I'll go get my gun. I'll buy a shotgun. I'll buy a waders. I'll buy everything." I said, "Nope. We're not going to do that. I ain't taking you back in now."
You just sit there and eat your snacks.
Oh,
yeah.
He said, "I'll tell you one damn thing." He said, "I'll be ready tomorrow." He went that night and bought everything.
Wow.
Little waders and sweatshirts and I don't know what all, ammunition, shotgun shells. And the next day we went out and he had I know the gun he was shooting, it was a Browning, I don't know, the Browning. And he bragged on that gun all the time. Anyway, he was a pretty good shot. And he never wanted to quit hunting. I said, Jim, you got to quit. We got our limit. Oh, no, there ain't nobody around here. I said, yeah, get in the boat. And I had to drag him all the layout. Anyway, we did a lot of ducks and take them in and end up, we'd all clean them. Bobby helped clean them too. And that went on for, I don't know, 10 years or more. And of course, I was working at McLeod then. I wasn't working for the county anymore.
Right.
And but that was I don't know. I got so many stories about waterfowl that I can't even remember them all.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, though. That's a good thing. But the problem is, I don't know if Bob's going to be able to compete with your intro.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that long. Anyway.
Yeah, I got to where I couldn't do much anymore. I mean, Bob took over. He does all the work out there now when we go out. And I haven't been out. I didn't go out last year at all. I don't get in the layout anyway. But I used to cook soup and hot dogs and act like I'd answer questions. I answer a lot of questions.
I might have to hire you this year to cook some hot dogs and soup for us out in the field.
We try to get him out every year, and when it's nice, and he won't get out there unless the ducks are flying. And then he doesn't want to shoot them; he just wants to watch them decoy.
That's some of the best ones there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat when you see them coming in and flip-flopping back and forth and watching them land, and you got everything set up right, and you watch them come in perfect. But that's what he enjoys now. Occasionally he'll shoot one, but it's been a couple of years, I think, since he's been in the layout. So I'm hoping he gets in there one last time, and he'll be the oldest guy out there duck hunting, for sure.
Anyway, to finish a little bit, I wanted to tell you. Forgot what it was now.
You're right at the layout boats, right?
Oh, the ducks.
Yeah.
In 1980,
Okay.
the ducks were gone.
Wait, gone.
Hardly any there. We were shooting McGanzers.
McGanzers and a few mallards.
Yeah.
You get occasionally, if you're hunting close to shore, you get some mallards. But
So anyway, the reason I remember 1980 is because of him and a guy used to take hunting from
Harson's Island.
Harson's Island.
Okay.
Anyway,
AJ
we
Feeney.
quit hunting, yeah. Anyway, we quit hunting I quit hunting for 10 years.
Just because the bird
There was
was?
no birds. And
Do you remember what years that was?
1980.
Yeah.
1980?
Yeah.
1980, I didn't hunt for 10 years. So I put my layout boat, I covered it up, and a lot property that I owned that got rotten, I had to get rid of it. So I bought another layout boat from John Kalash, and it was a wreck. I mean, I knew John real well. And out in the river, we used to get in arguments.
Yeah.
Because I'd cut them guys off. Tried to cut us off. And I had Dalka out there with me one year. And he was in the layout boat with Jim Hale. Well, there was ducks flying all over, and I'll never forget it because we had a southeast wind. And we were facing the Lake Erie Metro Park. It is now, it wasn't then. And High was big, so he just barely could get in that layout boat with Jim Hale. And so Jim would tell High, this is a story I got from High. He says, Jim would be laying in the boat, we'd be laying there, and there was ducks flying everywhere. There was ducks flying everywhere. They were all over the place. And High said, you know what? He called me and said, I go out there to pick up a duck that they shot. And High says, Jim or Dick, get this hillbilly out of his boat. He said, I can't take it no more. He's saying, here's one on the left, there's one on the right, there's one in the middle. And I'd swing my gun, and then they'd be gone. He'd shoot it. And he said, I'm getting out of here. So I got him out of the boat. And we limited out that day, too. But that was... And then down below us was John Kalas was hunting down there with Doc Murray.
Okay, I've heard of that name as well.
Well, anyway, he's hunting downstream from us. So he got mad. He come back up and said, hey, you guys are cutting us off. I said, too bad. We were here before you were. So anyway, and then he said, I'm going in. He said, he went up the river and set up in front of us between Horse Island and Sturgeon Bar.
Okay.
So he had, I don't know who was with him. I think it was Murray, Doc Murray. I think he was with him then. Anyway, they got some shooting, but it ended up we picked up and went in. But that was one thing. But to go see, here's the deal: them guys like to drink. So anyway, at that time, I kept my boat, the outfit, at Jim Foot's house on Horse Island.
Okay.
Because we had low water and I couldn't get in and out of my canal system where I live. So I kept everything there. So we get in, we come all the way from the lighthouse. And on all the way in, there they were drinking that booze, whatever it was. And the judge, besides Jim Foote, Jim Hale, and I think Bill Mullins was there, but I'm not sure. Well, no, it wasn't Bill. But anyway, we got into the dock. I pulled in and tied up, and these guys couldn't even find a cleat. Tied a damn rope on. Judge Seitz gets out of the boat. He's going to take pictures.
Oh, God.
So he gets up on the dock with his high-powered camera lens about that. He says, and he gets up and he falls down on the dock. And then Jim Foote said, give me that camera. So he got the camera because they wanted to take a picture of the ducks on the back of the boat.
Yeah.
So when he gets up there, Jim Foote gets up and he falls on his butt right on the dock. And then here comes Jim Hale. He's going to be the big savior. So Jim Foote's complaining about these two white Pekin ducks that's hanging around his garage that's mating with the mallards. And Jim Hale says, well, I'll take care of them. It was cold out. Jim Hale gets out of the boat, takes out across the dock, going to the garage, toward the garage door, the entry door, and he falls on the ice. It was full. Oh. He slides on his butt about 25 feet and grabbed them ducks by the neck. Both of them and wrung their necks.
Throw them on a pile.
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Jim Foote had a fit. He said, hey, that lady's watching out the window over there. She got her ducks. Or something. Anyway, nothing ever happened with that. But that was just some of the stuff that happened.
That's
I don't know. I can go on and on.
You're all right.
So
that's good.
So Bob, do you want to try to top that one? That's pretty tough.
Well, I have stories too, but not that lengthy.
Well, anyways, guys, that's Dick Whitwam. We were just talking.
Yeah.
And then obviously, then we got.
Yeah. I grew up in Brownstown and went to Carlson High School. Graduated in '83.
Better than Trenton, just saying.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
could have went to airport.
Yeah.
But.
I hunted and fish. I was lucky to have a dad that took us out hunting and fishing all the time.
Right.
We hand lined, we jigged, we did a lot of duck hunting, and then, like you said, in the '80s when we didn't duck hunt as much, I was still going out, and I would sneak into the managed units at Pointe Mouillee and hunt off the barges.
Do what you can.
We did. We'd never do it now.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was. I had a good childhood, especially when it comes to hunting and fishing. You know, the boat was right in the backyard, jump in it. And back in the day, we went to junior high. It was in the afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we didn't start till I think it was like noon to 5. So we had all morning to go fishing.
Right.
So we went fishing, or we went rabbit hunting.
Why couldn't we have that schedule?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun back then. We didn't have the metro parks. We didn't have a lot of houses.
When the metro parks come in,
Well, they originally, I think they bought it in 81. They bought most of the land, and they started developing in about 83.
83. And that was Lake Erie.
Well, they bought Lake Erie Metro Park, the marina, I think it was 81. They had that open, and they started developing, and it was probably about the same time.
About the same time?
And
Okay.
then-
Let me interrupt you, Bob,
Yeah.
for just a minute. The marina was owned by somebody else.
Okay.
There was 2 attorneys that owned that property. So they're the ones that built the marina. Bob Rogers actually built the marina. They hired him to do it. And he did it. He lived on Southern River Drive, on the corner of Turnpike and Southern River Drive. That's where he lived. Anyway, Bob Rogers built that marina. He dredged it out, and Lee Road at that time went all the way to the lake. There wasn't no gate or anything there for the marina.
It didn't do that S turn going around there
Now
now.
Melville comes into it.
Yeah.
So that road went all the way to the lake. And back in the 30s, there was a dance hall down there.
Oh.
You could still see part of the concrete when the water's down. You could still see the pieces of concrete that's there. And they got the fishing pier down there now, just to the right-hand side of it. So the marina, that property there, they were going to build a steel mill for stainless steel, big stainless steel. They had the plans all drawn for the Trenton Channel to widen it, deepen it. They were putting a turning basin right out in front of where the park is now,
Okay.
down where I live.
So that would have been all commercial industry property.
Wow.
That would have been a steel mill. But what happened was, the Japanese took over the stainless steel market back then, and they eliminated the idea of doing that. Some attorneys in Detroit owned all that property.
Well, thank God.
They
Yeah.
farmed it out. Jake Kuzno from Newport farmed all the property.
Okay.
Him and Sam Gay. So the Gay family, they lived there. So they farmed part of whatever they owned. And then they would lease out to Jake Kuzno down in Newport. He farmed, every year. So then when they got done with the marina lawn in the 1980s, that's when the park bought it.
Okay.
I don't know the date.
It was about, they were originally going to buy where Rat Island was, and down that way, and turn that into a marina. They ended up buying the Lake Erie Marina is now. They bought that, the original part of the golf course. They expanded a little bit. They bought a lot of farmland, which is much better to have that than what could have
A
been.
steel mill, yeah.
It would have been
Another
right.
factory on the water.
Yeah, because we used to pheasant hunt in rabbit hunt there. We used to do all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
You know, it was great for us kids.
How was it upland hunting around here back then?
And that when I was a kid, it was okay,
Okay.
but we didn't see many pheasants.
Gotcha.
Seen a lot of rabbits,
Yeah.
but you didn't see that many pheasants like you did in the probably 40s and 50s.
When I hunted there, my dad was good friends with the caretaker
Okay.
at the property there where the park is. Martin LaChance, that was his name. And the county road went all the way down to the end. Rockwood Drive was Rockwood Drive. It went off here in River Drive then. And my dad worked for the county, so he graded the road and everything down through there.
Right.
We got permission to go on, and there was pheasants everywhere.
Really?
And there was all cornfields and soybeans, and there were just pheasants. They were everywhere. Of course, then the pheasants started dying off when farmers started using weed killer and certain kinds of fertilizer and all kinds of stuff.
Now with upland birds nowadays, what do you think the biggest thing is? Do you think it's just like less people predator hunting wise?
I would say maybe it's predators because there's no market for furs for
Right.
coon anymore, and there's not many people that fox hunt. Coon's probably your worst
Worst, yeah. for
worst
sure.
enemy on them. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's more hawks now. I know I heard stories from my grandfather when he was, if he seen a hawk, he killed it.
Yeah, I've heard, hear that today
Yeah.
from people.
And I got chickens at home, and I got to watch it
Right.
because between them and the owls,
Yeah.
but I don't have too much problem. chickens that, believe it or not, are kind of smart. They already know they're there.
Right.
So,
You just go run inside.
yeah.
Not to interrupt you, Bob, but they had the pheasants there. There was just so many of them. I even fox hunted there. We hunt them in the wintertime.
The
As
foxes?
soon as duck season was over, we fox hunted until April.
Really?
We had 15 fox hounds, walkers, and we hunted all over Monroe County, everywhere. That's where we sent them. We killed 100 fox one year.
Holy smokes.
Long before 275. And
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
275 wasn't even there. Anyway,
Did
that's.
you mention the damage nowadays? Like if it was, I mean, that's, yeah.
There's
100.
still quite a few fox, but you know what? We never seen a coyote.
Really?
Nope.
Really?
Never seen a coyote, and the first time we seen deer was out at out that park out there by
Knights Park.
by
Sterling's Date.
by Pat Ferguson over there.
Oh, Willow?
Willow.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first time we seen deer running fox and happened to see a deer. And that was funny because we were surprised to see it. The dogs were running them.
So, I mean, you guys didn't really have much deer around here then?
No, we never
we
seen
had
deer.
no deer.
Wow.
Wow, so that's came a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
I want to say early 80s, we seen one deer, a doe, and we were shocked.
Wow.
Really?
Yep. And now they're everywhere.
Right, you can't get away from them now.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Just like turkeys.
I
Never
see.
used to see turkeys. Now they're
Right.
almost.
Well, say turkeys
they're
are
in
making
every
a
county now.
big comeback in Monroe right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
turkeys around
huge.
here have been insane.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, they're in Romulus. They're in right in
Yeah.
the city.
right. Which is, I love to see it.
Yeah.
I love
Oh yeah.
to see it.
I guess, well, actually, I wanted to ask you guys, what is your job titles for the Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Festival?
Well, I'm the executive director. Been the director for since 2014, and Dad did it 18 years prior to that.
Okay.
I was chairman and now I'm vice chairman now.
Yeah, he's still involved. We got 100 volunteers. We
Wow.
get 5,000 to 8,000 people to come there, and it's got a lot of history. We're a 501c3. All the money we generate from this festival and a couple other charity events we do, it all goes back to Pointe Mouillee.
Mm-hmm.
And we just, was it 2019, we built a ADA blind in zone 11. 200 foot long with a blind on the end, and
That's awesome.
it's in a good zone, which is what I really wanted.
Yeah.
And with cooperation with the DNR, which is great. We got in there, we had like 30 volunteers, and we had a lot of great sponsors that let us use their equipment, and we put that in. It's hopefully to last several generations.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So it's very well built. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, that's
Well,
for sure.
It's
What
called
was the
in
what was the Waterfowl Festival called before it was Pointe Mouillee?
Michigan Duck Hunters Tournament.
Michigan Duck Hunters Tournament. Okay, I was trying to remember.
That's interesting. I never even knew that.
I didn't know that either.
People got mad a little bit when we changed the name, but like my dad was saying earlier, it's more than just duck hunting.
Yeah.
Right.
Stuff there. We got an art tent. Says 40 by 120,
That's
60
big
by
time.
120.
It's huge.
It's huge. We got duck calling events. We got
I called in it.
Yeah, we got an
Yeah.
outdoor trading post. We've got a lot of people and you got a lot of stuff for kids.
Yep.
That's one of the main things. Get them out there. We got a kids tent. We got BB gun shoot,
That's the
bow,
biggest thing.
archery,
Yeah, my kid loves it. When we
Yeah,
went out
it's-
there last year. He loved it.
and it's all free.
Yeah.
Everything's free
Yeah.
for the kids.
Right, right.
And then this year, because 75th, the first booth in the trading post is free.
Mhm.
So it's a no-brainer. If you're into selling, if you got stuff in your garage, bring it down. It's free to set up.
Yeah. That's huge, too,
Oh,
for
yeah.
people that don't know about that.
It blows my mind that it's the 75th anniversary.
Oh yeah. And we had a COVID year. And then there was one year I think that was the only year we had to cancel it. I know we had to cancel some events because of
One year.
we had high winds, almost tornado-like.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then we've had floods, we've had rain, we've had, it's an outdoor event, so we have to take
Right.
good and the bad.
Right.
Mhm.
But like I said, we've raised pretty good money. and there's a lot of groups that we work with that help us set up, and we work cooperative with them and the DNR and in Pointe Mouillee Marsh.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to, be there with a booth and
Yeah.
hopefully be doing the podcast there this year. And,
Yeah, we're going to do podcasts with other vendors there and all that. And
Try to do like 5-10 minute segments with them, trying to get, see how long they've been there information wise on them. And
We got organizations that help us and support us and donate to us. In Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge is a big sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
I serve on that board of directors. I have since 2004.
Wow, okay.
So,
Yeah, we got DU that comes out and helps the Monroe chapter.
oh, so they did the big plaque last year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just had their dedication last year was the lifetime sponsors.
Yep.
So they got a big plaque there set up at the Pointe Mouillee
Is
Marriott.
the actual one there now?
Yes.
Is
they
it?
just
I
put
haven't
in.
seen it yet.
the new one. They just put it in.
Yeah.
The new one.
Yeah, because the one they had there was just a replica or whatever they had. But
They had a problem with the guy that was doing the plaque.
Mhm.
Machine broke. Well, if you ever seen the plaque, it's big.
Yeah.
it's huge.
So it took them a while to get the machine fixed, so they couldn't get it done. But they did a nice job putting a replica up. But now the plaque's up and it looks beautiful.
There was another delay on the plaque. I don't know if Bob knows about it. They made the plaque. No, the DU guys told me. They made the plaque a quarter of an inch too big. So they couldn't fit it in the stone that was cut out by the stone.
Oh, okay.
So they had to redo it.
No kidding.
Yeah, they had to redo it. So,
You didn't know that, Bob?
No, I didn't know
No.
that.
Okay.
well, I
But-
found that out. Nobody wanted anybody to know, and I told them I wouldn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, so you're a fan of Jim Hale then,
Anyway, we got, as far as the Monroe chapter of Ducks Unlimited goes, we got a real good relationship with them too, thanks to Bob and other people on the board. But that's an ongoing thing, because if you got to have the combined effort from a different organization to make things successful, whether it's DU, whether it's the Waterfowl Festival, or the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge, you got to have that. The other thing that's common is on the agenda for those organizations is wetlands.
Yeah.
If you don't have wetlands, you're going to suffer, because we've lost 75% of our wetlands
I believe that.
Yeah.
from Detroit to Toledo.
Wow.
So you brought up you quit for 10 years. What were the lack of ducks? Harsh weather?
What?
Like you said, you quit because there's no ducks around.
There could be some contributing factors to that. Water pollution is one of them.
Okay.
And the weather.
So
Weather was extreme. It was
Cold.
not as cold. It was warm a lot of times.
Yeah.
And
Oh, so you just don't think they migrated wise?
yeah, you got to look at.
yeah. Go ahead, yeah, because
You got to look at where these ducks come from.
Right.
They're most of the scaup. They nest in the boreal areas of Canada and Alaska.
Right.
So if they had problems with that, and then on the migratory exchange coming through, there was years where they didn't have water in the middle states, and in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, those big provinces, and the wetlands were down, and now they've been up, but we still don't have it because they got a nesting problem.
Right.
The bluegill have a nesting problem. All the scaup, greater, lessers, and other birds too, other waterfowl. But
and drought years don't help.
No.
No, you got to have that moisture up in that Canada region to get these birds nesting and bring the population up.
Right. Which
Here's
Dakota's
that.
been packed lately, right?
Yeah.
here's the other problem local. We lost almost all of our wild celery beds
I believe
here in Lake Erie.
Yeah.
In Lake Erie, Detroit River. Now it's invasive species that's taken over.
Okay.
So celery beds is what feeds those divers. whether it's canvasback or bluebill or whatever. Not so much mallard, but those ducks. There's a little bulb on the bottom of those celery, pieces of celery in the sand. That's what they go after.
Gotcha.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
When you lose the celery bed, you lose the waterfowl. And that's one problem you got right now.
And that high water, that just destroyed it.
Right.
Yep.
And there was some coming back, and we had all that high water a few years ago. They're gone. But
Last
I do
3
understand
years?
that some of the bluebill are eating zebra mussels.
Yeah.
Really?
It's another
Yeah.
invasive species, right?
Yep, another invasive species.
Right.
So sometimes, you got to, like I said, you got to deal with the good with the bad, and hopefully we get this straightened out where we have some good duck seasons and weather.
Right.
Well,
Weather's the biggest
you
thing.
can't lay out shooting in east wind,
Yeah.
No.
especially where we go. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can as long as it don't blow very
Yeah. Even if it's blowing up to 5, I mean, you're still getting some white
Oh, yeah.
out there.
I'm glad Bob brought up the zebra mussels because, that's an invasive species. Zebra mussels. They came over here on ocean freighters from other countries. But anyway, all along the Livingston Channel on the west side of it was all dumping grounds from dredge material from the Livingston Channel all the way on up to Detroit. They
Okay.
had nowhere to dump. There wasn't no banana out there to dump the dredge spoil in. There wasn't nowhere to put it.
Right.
So they'd come out there with bottom dump barges. They'd load them up, bring it out there, open up the bottom and dump it there. They did that for years. And that's where a lot of the zebra mussels are going. That's why you see a lot of the divers on that side of the lake, the western basin of the lake here, in between the Detroit River Light and the end of the Livingston Channel. They hang out there because there's zebra mussels there for them to eat.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
always thought it was just the pressure
Yeah.
on this side. That's what
Yeah.
I always thought.
Well, that might, but that's
Well, in
not
recent
the
years, they've been out there, and then you get because it's nice out, you get everyone perch fishing,
That's true, too.
and that drives them right out. A few days of people driving boats around them, they're not going to stick around.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So I do prefer when duck season, it's not good for perching. Even though we love perch fishing when we're layout shooting.
Yeah.
It's some of the best. If you can shoot ducks and go perch fishing and catch them,
Can't beat that.
it's awesome. We've had some great days out there, but it's usually one or the other lately. But
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
no,
Beggars can't
still
be
makes
choosers.
still makes a good day.
Right. Right.
Bobby, I gotta show you sometime. You guys ever come along? You gotta see his tackle box.
I'd love
Yeah.
to.
It's a
Oh, yeah.
1 pound coffee can,
Yeah,
Is what?
it's professional.
1 pound coffee can,
Folgers coffee.
2 pound coffee can. I'm sorry.
There's a reason. Now, when you get all the stuff in the boat, 5 guys
Yeah.
in a 24-footer, and where are you going to put all the stuff? Well, you got too much stuff, so I thought, well, I'll just grab some stuff out of my nicer tackle box, and I put it in this coffee can, and then I bring it on board.
You still use this.
I still use it
No
because you
kidding.
don't need a lot when you're perch fishing.
That's true.
You just need some sinkers and a pair of pliers and a couple.
It works
sinker-
out good.
hooks.
It works out good.
And then I use my poles aren't very fancy either because I'm not bringing good poles on there where I'm stepping on them.
Was it a piece of bamboo?
No, they're nice. They're nice. They used to be nice poles, but they're perfect for perch fishing and when you're on a boat with a bunch of people.
Right.
And everyone will make fun of them, but they're effective.
Especially when people are hiding booze in their shirts and stuff.
No more of that. No, we've had people show up and want to bring beer with them, and we do. Me and Dad have done it. Dad's started it probably 15 years ago or more. We do charity hunts where they auction them off, like at a DU dinner, Waterfowl USA, International Refuge Alliance fundraisers. People pay, and then we take them out. So
That's awesome, though.
yeah, that's one way we give back.
Yeah.
But I still get people that come on there, and we've actually just got our. I mean, you're shooting 1 or 2 bluebills. We get our limit. Occasionally a canvasback, redhead, depending on when you're going time wise. And then we're catching perch. And I don't know how many people said, "Man, I can't. We've shot our limit. We're catching perch."
Can't beat
You
it.
guys do this all the time. I'm like, no. I wish we did. It's either, but when you hit the magic moment, it's perfect.
That's when you say yeah, and then you make
Yeah.
yourself sound even better than
Yeah.
that.
And then the main menu is boiled hot dogs, which when you don't have anything to eat, they're really, really good.
Especially when it's cold out.
We've upgraded from the dollar package, and you're spending $5 or $6 to get the better hot dog.
Yeah.
But it's easy to cook, it's easy to carry, and then now we've done walleye chowder soup, chili.
No, it's you cooking.
Candy.
Candy.
Oh, my God, do they go through the candy?
What is it, Halloween out there?
Oh,
I'm too busy moving the boat, but it's good, and I enjoy it.
Yeah,
because
awesome.
it's just as fun. I don't like shooting. I mean, I wish the guys would shoot and kill the ducks, and it's easy to pick up. But when you get it crippled, you got to go out there and get it. But to me, that's just as fun. You shut the boat off. You're waiting for that duck to come up.
Yep.
And when it's rough,
Playing whack-a-mole. That's how I explain it.
Oh yeah, it's all timing. And you get the bird, you get it back, get him out, do what you got to do. But
You preferably want some clear water because you can kind of see him coming up, and then you're ready as soon as he pops up.
it's amazing how they can hide
See, I haven't had too much.
right in the open.
not only if
I've wasted-
If they're not here real good, they can do a lot to get away.
Oh, I believe it.
Divers.
Well, it's because mallards, when you cripple them, they go underneath the water and hang on to the
They'll do
plants. Yeah.
it. They'll do it.
Canvasback are probably the most notorious.
For hanging on.
Hanging on.
Really?
Canvasback redheads, they'll dive. I've seen guys shoot them. I've shot them. You think they're dead? They don't come back up.
Wow.
And we're in 8-10 feet of water most of the time.
Wow.
Or deeper.
Well, I guess I've had that, and even in the zones wise, when you're only walking shin deep of water.
Oh yeah.
And they're still hanging on down there to something, and they're not coming up, and you can't find anything in there.
Yeah. Let me tell you another little story you probably guys don't know about. When you were out in a sneak boat or a pickup boat, you used to have to shut your motor off and take it out of the water.
Can you explain a sneak boat?
Yeah.
Because I've never hunted out of one, that's all.
Well,
It's a lost art now. Not many guys do it.
Right.
nobody does it anymore much. Sneak boat is a long, narrow boat, anywhere from 14 to 18 foot.
Okay.
And they were narrow. They had a blind in the front that when you got into the deep, they were usually anchored about 100 yards from the decoys.
Okay.
When the birds come in the decoys, then you would sneak down like this behind that blind, and you had 2 portholes in there. Were cut out in the canvas, and you'd sneak down. The guy in front would paddle, and then when you got down to the decoys, he would put that paddle in the boat, grab his gun. The guy in the back would grab his gun, and then they'd drop that blind. That would flush the birds.
Gotcha.
So when they flushed the birds, and then you tried to turn that seat boat sideways so both gunners could shoot.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun, but it would work.
Yeah. For sure.
I can remember coming back from Sugar Island one time, and it was in the winter time, and we were over there with sheets of ice we used for blinds. We had a 2.5 horse Evinrude Alto outboard engine on this sneak boat.
In the Sugar Cut?
What?
In the Sugar Cut there?
Between south end of Sugar, and then we had to go around the south end of Swan Island.
Not very fast.
Ford Yacht Club wasn't even there then. Well, part of it was, just wasn't strapped. So we had to go around the south end of Swan Island. Well, we had ice. It was so cold that every once in a while we had about 10 or 15 black duck decoys. That was a good place for black ducks back then. And we'd go out there and had to get the ice off the decoys.
Oh, from the waves.
Yeah, we'd walk out on the ice because it was frozen. We just punched holes here and there to put the decoys in.
Really?
Yeah. So then we had a charcoal burner there that we kept warm and cooked food or whatever we wanted to do.
Right.
We had that inside this high-powered ice blind that we built. The ice would pile up there on the rocks. I mean, it's higher than the ceiling. And then we were over there, one decoy, we had a plastic decoy out, or we had several plastic decoys at the time, including wood, but when they first come out with them, we were using them. Got them from herders. Anyway, I said, hey, I'm going to take this decoy and I'm going to put it on this. I'm going to put it over this charcoal and melt this ice off, and then break it off. It'd be easier to break off. Jim McElhaney, he was around outside picking and cleaning up, knocked it. He come back in. He said, what in the hell are you doing? I melted the decoy, and it went up and got my eyes. Closed my eyes, and I couldn't get my eyes open. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I finally got it off of me, but, you know, and then those are things that happen that nobody knows about.
Right.
And
Well,
then,
I do now.
Yeah.
I do now. And then we left there with the boat and the decoys and the ducks and all the stuff in the speedboat. So we're going to head back to Swan Island Cut. So we get about 50 yards from where we were hunting there, just past the Sugar Island Cut, south end of Roseville.
Yeah.
Long Island. Anyway, we got caught in the ice.
Oh,
Ice flows coming down. So and we got this little dingbat outboard. So we Jim was rolling and I'm running the outboard. Or no, I was rolling and he was running the outboard. I'm trying to run so we could get through there to get. It was getting dark.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, it was pretty dark when we got back in.
Oh man.
Wow.
And it was cold. I mean, I'm not kidding you. My first shotgun was my first one. My second one was an 870 pump.
Yep.
I bought it for $70 at Ward's.
It's a shotgun that I use for turkey hunting.
Montgomery Ward's in Dearborn.
$70, I guarantee you can buy that one for that.
Yep.
Anyway,
Toughest shotgun you ever have.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we learned on, was that gun.
Right.
That's what my dad gave me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned on that gun.
what I was going to tell you was about the lifting the motor up and shutting it off when you had to go pick up a duck.
Yeah.
You had to do that.
Yep.
You had to take your motor out of the water, shut it off, take it out of the water. That was the law. Well, Jim Foote from Pointe Mouillee State Game area, he got that changed.
Oh, really?
You could leave your boater in the water. You can leave it running, but you can't hit forward motion.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is.
Jim
That's
Foote
how that
did that.
ended up. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually if I got a wounded duck or something, we go out there in the boat and we get to where we need to go. I usually just shut the motor off.
You don't have to shut it off. Just take it out of gear.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not supposed to have forward motion.
Not forward motion. Okay.
And that's not momentum.
Yeah.
That's not included. Just you can't have it in gear.
You can't have it in gear. And usually when I do it, I just pull up and take it out of gear, leave it running.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my dad always taught me, he said, just shut the motor off. Just make sure you don't have pretty much forward motion, and then you can shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
don't have to shut it off.
You don't have to shut the motor off.
No.
Okay. That's good to
Okay,
know.
now, if you miss the duck, you shoot, turn around and shoot the guy running the motor.
I could probably listen to these stories all the time.
I know.
You guys opened a can of worms and tell some stories.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got hundreds of them.
That's what I want to hear, though. I mean, all these stories, like, I would love to see even just, like, pictures of all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And we were just talking about that today. He's got a bunch of he's got some really good pictures back from the 70s and 60s that show the old rig and all
Really?
the ducks and stuff. They shot, when I was a kid, they shot 2 Canadian geese.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back then, you didn't see Canadian geese like you do now.
Around
My
here?
mom yeah.
Really?
My mom woke me up to have me go outside to see these Canadian geese, and they were holding them up. Like, everyone's taking pictures. The neighbors come over. They were legal to shoot. We just
Nobody
didn't see
seen
them. Like eagles. We never seen eagles around here. To stop him for a minute, and if he doesn't interrupt me, I was going to tell a story about it.
Yeah, no, let's hear it.
Well, for the last, I don't know, about 20 years, he's been doing all the artwork for the festival.
Yes,
that goes
yes.
on our T-shirts.
Okay.
And we gave you guys a print from,
Yeah.
I think, 2021.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So-
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the one with the 5 birds on it.
Yeah.
I think originally it was only 4 birds on it.
No, there was 4.
Yeah.
You got the one, I put the redhead on there after I did the one for the festival.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you got the latest edition.
The latest edition. All right.
I like it.
So he's been doing. We're waiting on the 75th one, and he won't tell me what it is yet. So he says it's a surprise.
Any secrets?
Nobody knows what it is.
So, but he's done lighthouse. He's done different birds. He's not,
That's awesome.
but every one of them has a duck in it.
Are you talking about the T-shirts you normally get for every year?
Yep, T-shirts
Okay.
we sell at the
So you
event.
paint all that.
T-shirts
Alright.
and sweatshirts.
You paint them all though? It's all you, all logos?
Oh yeah, he's
never
done.
seen
He
that.
did our logo.
I got a studio at home. I did this.
No kid, I never do that.
He's done the festival logo, and that's what we stuck with. And it describes us. It's not just we're not just waterfowl. It's everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Point Mouillee has everything in it.
Yep.
I mean, it's a mecca for waterfowl, but migratory birds. It's
Right.
a major stop. We got pelicans there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's 200 of them now,
Really?
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Wow.
and it's amazing to see them birds.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too people forget about from the recreational aspect. That place is full of deer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some big deer.
Robert, there's deer all over Roberts
Don't
Road.
be saying any names now.
Deer, fox, coyotes, swans, any kind of waterfowl. But the problem is people lose sight of what these wetlands are for.
Right.
They're not just for waterfowl. They're not just for a fox and deer or whatever. They're to get clean water. That's where people lose the sight of what it's for.
Yep.
And there's 4,040 acres there at Pointe Mouillee.
How much?
4,000.
4,040.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Now,
a
15% of that property is in Wayne County. The rest of it's in Monroe County and Berlin Township.
Yep.
and another fact is that that's man-made.
Which is
It's
insane.
the original Point Mouillee itself washed away.
Yeah.
So they needed, as the story goes, they needed a spot for all the dredging. Army Corps engineers were going to dump it out in the lake, build an island basically,
South of the River Light.
south of the River Light. And Dick Micka, Dad, a bunch of people got involved. And basically, hey, let's build something at Point Mouillee. So that's how it originally came about. And they made cells and filled it in.
So that's how the dikes came about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's an ongoing thing. And for the next 25 years, they're still going to be filling in there.
Wow. I never
Wow.
And
Well,
when-
yeah, because they got a barge in there. They were digging out towards the Vermette unit a couple years ago. I think it was along the edge of the dike there or
Oh,
something,
yeah. Yeah.
where it cuts
They got
in.
that all dug out.
They'll eventually have that all closed in. If anybody's familiar with the very end by the lighthouse,
Yeah.
it'll be closed in and that's it. And then they're going to have to do something else because the dredging's never going to stop.
Right.
So, and there's a, like Dad says, it's nature's filter.
Yeah.
Takes up high water. When you got high water problem, that alleviates some of the problem with high water.
Mm-hmm.
Plus filtering the contaminants out.
Right. Right.
Where we built the blind is one of the original cells. Now, the person back before the Point Mouillee bought it, before the Hunt Club, was a guy named Nelson's Farm. I don't know his first name, but that's where the name came from for Nelson's unit, and that's Nelson's Nest is what we call the ADA blind.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's a big stone monument that was donated, and we got that out there, and all the people that contributed to it. I had the guys that were working on it sign their names somewhere, anywhere on that blind.
Wow.
They could do it, and most of them did, and a lot of them were on the bottom of the post. So
It's crazy with like the history and stuff like that behind all
Oh,
this.
It's crazy.
and we dug them by hand 5 foot. We drilled some of them, but we didn't have the equipment right there at one point. Put the posts in, were 16 foot.
Wow.
And then we drove them in as far as they could go, and we didn't cut them. They're in there over 12 feet or not more.
Wow.
So some went in right, perfect, and then some we had to eventually cut off because we had a post pounder on a skid steer, and as soon as it stopped, we were done.
Right.
So
Wow.
it was a lot of work.
I say it sounds like a project,
They
but
did a lot of work down there, thanks to him
Yeah.
and the other crew that was there. What they didn't know at that time, and they do now, is there's a limestone shelf that runs through there. You ain't going to drive nothing through it.
no.
No,
So and it extends all the way back out to the western basin of Lake Erie past the shoreline. See, between Rat Island and Strauch Point, that was all a beach.
Really?
Real?
Oh yeah,
I know there's that island there still, and it's fairly shallow, but
well, like Bob said, they're good. They were going to put a marina in there. The park was Lake Erie Metro Park, 400 boats. Well, we got together and said, "Hey, we're not doing that." So we got the DNR on our side, and Jim Foote fought against it and all that. He originally was for it, by the way, and we convinced him that that's not the thing to do. Well, when we got the floods, that's how Pointe Mouillee got washed out. There was marsh as big as this building floating in a lake.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow. Cattail.
It was if you see the whole historical pictures, and there's some at Lake Erie Metro Park Museum.
yeah.
It was huge, and what's there now is probably half of what's that used to be there.
Kyle, we might have to stop over there and take a look at those pictures.
That's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in seeing. Like I think we've talked about that on the
Yep.
phone as well. Just like the old pictures or like the paintings or whatever
Yep.
it may be.
There's a
Like,
lot of good stuff in there.
I've only been waterfowl hunting for 6-7 years now so far. Yeah, and
I've been going out to Pointe Mouillee since I was 4 years old.
hey,
4 years old, duck hunting with my grandpa, my dad, and my uncle.
well, like
Yeah, that was back in what? That'd be 2000 is when I was going out there with them.
I just had nobody in my family to do it, so I'm the first one in the family to do it, and already it's just like kind of like you were saying about your dad, like seeing the birds work. I'll watch that all day compared to shooting.
Oh, it's awesome.
It was like that. The small stuff is what gets me right now.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't have, and I hate to say it, we didn't have Google. We couldn't say, "Hey, how do you blow a duck off?"
Onyx or anything. Go look at
No.
maps too. Yeah.
And you went and searched, and you went and did your homework, and as best you could. And luckily, I didn't have to do a lot of that. I grew up in a family that we were duck hunters.
Right, right.
We didn't hardly deer hunt. Now I love everything.
Yep.
So you said back, like you were the first one in your family. How did you get into it? The duck hunting wise.
By mistake.
By mistake.
Do we want to open that can of worms up or no?
You know, I seen this guy I was telling you earlier that lived by my grandparents that was a duck hunter.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
name was Johnson. I can't remember his first name. But anyway, he would come there in his hip boots and stuff with ducks. And I don't know, what the hell are you doing with that stuff? You know? And I talked to him a little bit. And I said, where did you get them? He said, right back there. He said, I hunt right back there. Well, back then, there was inland water there and a pump house on the lakeside. That's what they used to pump the water out.
Which is now part of the state game area.
Oh, no kidding.
It's
Yeah,
all
okay.
state game area now. My grandparents lived down at the end by the lake.
Okay.
There was a commercial fisherman that lived behind my grandparents. There were two houses back there. One of them was a commercial fisherman. His name was Fryer.
And there was an old guy lived across the street, scared the shit out of us
Yeah,
all the
James.
time.
That was-
Old man James.
But anyway, I built a blind down there, out in behind my grandparents' house in the swamp. There was muskrat huts everywhere,
Yeah,
and all I had was in paper mache decoys.
yeah.
You know, when they first come out, they were really nice, and
Right.
everybody thought they were something.
Yeah.
I still got some. So does he.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd go out there. I built a blind. First time we went out, we sat on the muskrat huts, me and my brothers. And the water was about this deep, not even that. But you could walk around out there. We had boots, hip boots, and we'd hunt. So I built a blind there the next year. I built a stake blind. So I'm out there and I'm sitting in the blind and I'm smoking my pipe and the ducks are coming. Here comes the ducks start flying. I picked up my gun and just about broke my jaw because I hit my pipe that I had in my mouth. Well, that was the last time I smoked a pipe. I threw it away. And there was a house down there. It burnt down. There was a road that went down to it. That stuff is all gone now. There's nothing there anymore. But that's how it was. The pump house is still there. I think part of it's still there. They used that pump house up until the last 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So that
Grab you one,
when the DNR bought that property, they filled it all in, and they blocked off Hickory Street. That was the name of the street my grandparents lived on, and I don't want no more. Anyway,
You'll be here until 11 o'clock hearing these stories.
all right.
I could listen to these all night.
No, I definitely could.
He can talk. He's got a lot of them.
I got some pictures to show you
years,
here
so.
after this.
I was going to say, well, like you already are picking up halfway through the story.
Yeah, I've heard them. Some of the stories that he's talking about have been there, especially with Jim Hale. But it was a lot. It was a lot of fun growing up with him.
Oh, he was Jim Hale. He was a character and a lot of fun to hunt with.
So compared to now to then, like the camaraderie or the hush, because nowadays it's all cutthroat stuff out there.
It's terrible.
It's brutal. Was it way different?
There was always that problem.
Right.
It was sometimes major and sometimes problem because the sneak shooters, they didn't want to be around the layout hunters.
Yeah.
You know, there was a distinct separation there. And there was a guy from Jim Brawler that was a sneak shooter. Now I can't remember his name, but he always wore a yellow rain suit. And,
While hunting?
yeah.
What did you think he was? Big bird out there?
Always had a yellow rain suit on. And I knew him as, what the hell was his name? He lived right there by the bridge there on South Jim Road. Right over here. Anyway, I know his name, I just can't remember it right now. But he would come out there, and a lot of times he had somebody with him. And they would be mad because we were hunting 500 yards from him or something.
Right.
You know, he was a sneak shooter. But we always got along.
There's a lot of room. That's why I like layout shooting. There's a lot of room. You don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning or earlier to find a spot.
Yep.
And then if I go marsh shooting, I usually go in the afternoon
Right.
because everyone's already either been out or, you can get a spot. I don't have to run around the whole lake trying to find a spot or marsh.
That or even midday. I mean, middays always seems pretty good too. People are pushing birds while they're going in, or people are pushing birds while they're.
And the manage units.
Right.
Manage units they're fun to hunt.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
Oh, yeah. And that blind, if no one that's handicapped doesn't want to use it, it's open to anybody.
Plus, so you can pick 11.
You pre-register for that if you need a place to hunt.
Really?
And that was the whole purpose we built that, because there's a lot of guys and women and we were thinking about kids because their grandparents might be the only ones that hunt.
Right.
And now they have a place to go and learn.
Yeah.
And it's easy walking. It's real close to the Yellow Gate on Sigler Road. So we're trying to get where we can kind of put a little walkway, because we've had people use wheelchairs to get out there. But you're able to, if you register ahead of time, they will open the gate, allow you to drive your vehicle in there,
Oh, really?
unload, turn around, and you have to park by the gate.
Wow.
And then you just call them and let them know, and then they open the gate again so you can get out.
Wow.
So it's
That's awesome.
that was one of the biggest things. I've seen a lot of handicap blinds and stuff, but I've never seen one, and I'm sure there are good ones.
Right,
But I've never seen them. I've never heard any, at least in the state of Michigan. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But it's just to have a good spot to hunt.
Yep.
I mean, that's a big thing, though. I mean, like we just brought up, maybe the grandparents are the only ones taking them out. Just being able to recognize that every kid or person doesn't have the same opportunities as others.
We took a guy out. He asked if he could go. He wasn't able to hold a gun any longer. So he had MS. We took him out there and we just sat. 4 of us, Dad and a couple other gentlemen, and one of Joe Mara is on the crew with us. Went out there and we just sat there all afternoon.
Just watching birds.
And we were joking and laughing and having a good time, and he enjoyed it. He's since passed, but it was a good memory. I hope for him. I know him and Joe were real tight, and I had fun. I think we shot at one duck And it was so far away, we were just shooting just to shoot something.
Right.
Yeah, I
Knowing that we weren't going to get it
Yeah.
or hit it.
I learned a lot going out here with him and a lot of other guys. I learned not to pay any attention to him.
Yep.
I was actually really keyed in on that one for a second there.
See, the best thing is when you go hunting, and I don't care who you're with, you got to have fun.
Oh,
And
100%.
camaraderie is one of the most important things. Back, we were kids, you try to shoot as much stuff as you could possibly get in your bag and hurry up and get home. But I'm not. I could care less if I shoot. I mean, I want to because it's a lot of work to go out there and shoot a duck.
I mean, you're going out there to shoot something, obviously.
Right.
Trying to, but
Well,
I mean, you want to have.
Yes, and there's days, like I said, it'd be 60 degrees, no wind, and you're catching perch.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in the layout boat screaming he wants back in. You're like, yeah, we'll be out there in a minute.
Yeah. Forget about
So
it.
it's we have a lot of fun, and everyone else does. Even in the field, when we field hunt and stuff, it is it could be uncomfortable when you're freezing, but
You guys,
you're having fun.
if you guys want to, sometime you come to the house. I'll show you all kinds of pictures.
I would love to do
It's
that.
got so much
You
stuff
gotta
in
get
there.
a permit.
To come in?
Yeah.
To come in.
How do I get that?
Well,
It's a $15 parking fee.
I got a form you gotta fill out. That's gotta go to the police station. and the DNR.
All right.
Law enforcement.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm willing to do that, though.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, I'll tell you another little story while I'm thinking of it. Me and Jim Foote and Jim Hale went out one day by ourselves, three of us. Bobby mentioned it earlier about hardly any geese. You never used to see geese down there by us, hardly ever. So we go out in the lake and it was pretty flat. So we get all the way over by the Livingston Channel, just inside the United States. And we set up. And we put the layout out, and we put the decoys out. And Jim Hale says, I'll run the pickup boat. You guys get in the layout. I said, no, we got an argument about that. But anyway, I did. I got in there with Jim Foote. And at that time, we were shooting lead. And I always shot 7.5. So,
I can't even imagine shooting 7.5 right now.
yeah.
Besides that, like pigeons and
Yeah.
dogs and
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Right.
I tell so many ducks with 7.5, it's unbelievable. Anyway, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Well, I looked down there over Grosse Ile, way down there, because we were all not far from Detroit River Light.
Okay.
North of it.
Yep.
Anyway, and we're sitting in the layout boat, me and Foote, Jim Hale's back in the pickup boat, or back in the big boat, with the pickup boat anchored off the back. So here I said to Jim Foote, I said, I'm leaned over and I said, hey Jim, what's that black line coming down over Grosse Ile? He said, oh, they're probably mallard.
Cormorants.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you didn't see them either.
No.
A flock of mallards or something. I said, no, they're big. They're probably goose. He said, no, they ain't no geese. Son of a bitch, a few minutes later, he says, yeah, they are geese. Here come about, I think there was 11 or 12 in the group. My memory serves me correct. Anyway, here they come, right in the decoy.
No kidding.
We didn't have a goose decoy one there. Here they come, all of them in there. And I said, Jim, you take anything on the left. He was on my left. I'll take anything on the right. So we did. He shot, knocked one down, crippled it. I shot, killed one. I said, hey, come on, get that other one over there. Well, you were only allowed one.
Oh.
Well, you were only one apiece then. And I said, shoot another one. Jim Hale come and get it. So he was going to shoot another one, and he missed it. So I shot another one. So Jim Hale, he's watching this back in the boat. He jumped in the pickup boat and took off and didn't untie it from the pig boat.
Oh, gee.
Hey, he went down like that. He went down through the center console on the floor. And he come out there and he's bleeding. I said, Jim, what the hell did you happen? He said, oh, bitch, I forgot to untie the boat. And he come out there saying, all right, he's bleeding. Hey, he's picking up the geese. He's picking up the geese. So anyway,
Wow.
we got 3 geese. That was the first time in a long time that I shot a goose.
So my grandpa shot a deer one time. They were tracking it for blood-wise, you know. And he's like, they just finally figured out after a while that they're just going in a big circle.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, my grandpa scoped himself. They were following his own blood trail on a big old circle. It was dropping from his head, and they were just following that all the way around for I don't know how long.
That's funny.
Back in the day, I mean, like, I hate to bring it up because it's such a controversial, like, conversation nowadays. Like, the bands, like, collars. I know they stopped
You
collars.
stole it right out of my mouth. I was going to ask about it.
What are
See,
you calling about?
Like, the leg bands and the neck collars
yeah,
and stuff.
They're everywhere.
Jack Miner bands.
Yeah, Jack
all that.
Miners.
They still got them.
How often did you guys see bands back in the day?
Well, not very many from Jack Miner.
No.
How about did they ban here in Michigan
Yeah,
during that time?
they banned it everywhere. They banned it at Pointe Mouillee years ago.
Did they? Okay.
They still do, no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
I thought they still do.
They don't do many neck bands.
No,
Well-
they don't use neck bands no more.
What I heard was the condensation was building up in the collar, so when they were flying,
Yeah, they
it would
quit.
build up and kill
They
them.
quit doing that.
Was it for that reason, or?
I don't know
I
what
don't
the
know,
reason
but the
was.
reason was it was impediment on their activity
Okay.
of some sort.
I haven't seen any collars, but I've seen tarsal bands, but that's about it, though.
I found when I was a kid walking on the beach, I found a bunch of Jack Miner bands. You know, occasionally you find one, two. You know, not on the foot. Foot was gone,
Yeah.
You just want
and they were old. And I remember bringing them home. I'm like, hey, they
Yeah.
got scriptures on these. Yeah, you want to hold on to them?
Yeah.
I had 5 or 6 of them. I still can't find them.
Oh,
And I put them in a box. So I gotta. He might have them somewhere hidden.
They-
You said Jack Miner bands you found?
Jack Miner bands, and then that was back in the early '70s.
I checked the
Wow.
walls. You probably put drywall over.
I don't know.
I would try to find those things.
Hey, let me tell you a story.
But I want to hear this story. I want to hear this one.
He go. That's all he did was hang out on the beach in the water when he was a little kid. When they got up in the morning, that's where they went. So he goes down there. He finds a bunch of whiskey bottles and stuff from the Depression when they were bootlegging.
Yeah,
They're bootlegging.
yeah.
Well, he finds this jar and he puts a bunch of shells in it and cheap shells and junk. Takes it home, puts it under the dresser.
It was a mason jar.
Mason jar. He don't tell hey, he don't tell nobody. So about 3 months later, or maybe even before that, the house was stinking,
Oh man.
and his mom didn't know where it was coming from.
Right.
Where in the hell was this smell coming from? Well, she couldn't find out. I couldn't either. We opened all the doors.
The dog knew where it was at.
Yeah. Anyway, he finally found it. And it was full of thick, oh my God, clamshells.
Oh man.
I have no idea. I don't remember any of this, but I know him and my mom tell the same story.
Snails that big around. Snail shells.
No kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rotten in there.
Yeah.
That's like almost as bad as having a dead minnow in the live well and you can't find it.
Yeah.
When you were off at school, and there wasn't, TV was off. You didn't watch much TV because there was nothing on. And we'd go, we'd get up in the morning, me and my buddies, and we were gone.
Right.
I remember making sandwiches, and you just wrap them in a napkin and shove them in your pocket,
Yep.
and you were gone. And I remember walking, me and my buddies walked through the marsh. We got up in the morning, and all we had was tennis shoes. We walked all the way to Newport, through
Holy
Point Mouillee.
smokes.
Just,
Wow.
we were young kids, and now, they didn't know where we were at. We could have died
I
out there.
never knew where they were.
Did you ever question it?
What?
You ever question that?
No, he never
I'd
did.
ask them where they went, and they didn't know.
Sounds like a good answer.
But we were scouting. We had our BB guns, and
right.
Yeah.
Scouting quotation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it was summertime, wintertime, it didn't matter. We did it all, trapped in there and everything.
Then they said, him and his buddies, I said, where did you guys go yesterday? Oh, we went down there at Strike Point. We went down there. They went to Rat Island.
Oh man.
Said, there used to be a house on there.
No.
Yeah.
On what?
Red Island.
Red Island.
What?
Yeah.
A family by the name of Mouillee.
Really?
Yeah,
Used to be a house on Rat Island.
yeah.
Okay, kind of off topic here. I gotta ask about the Sugar Island, like dance floor, like all that kind of stuff.
That was an amusement park.
Amusement park.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on. What?
Yeah.
Sugar Island used to be an amusement park?
Yep.
Yeah,
Those big piers where it used to be the dock, right? Where the
Yep.
ferry would pull up.
There's still some of the stuff. I mean, the foundations are still there.
Right.
Wow.
There's old pictures that I've seen that like people are out dancing and like crazy.
When was this? What years?
all back in the 20s and
Yeah.
30s.
Oh, really?
I don't remember.
There's pictures of this?
Oh yeah.
I have to go on Google and find them.
I don't know how good of pictures they are, but yeah,
Well,
there's
still,
pictures of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there on that island.
Yeah.
The guy that bought that later on, he bought it. He was going to put in a septic tank system and put building apartments over there.
No kidding.
Yeah, with a ferry boat.
Wow.
This was way before the U.S. Fish and Wildlife bought it. They bought that.
Yeah. The signs are all over the place. They cover that island.
Yeah, and I was one of the persons involved before they purchased the island to get it,
Okay.
along with Congressman Dingle and a few other people, Dick Micka. Anyway, they finally bought it, and I'm so glad they got that island because that place is a strategic place. It really is. Now they're going to put the barrier around.
They did. They did.
They got part of it.
Yeah.
They got part of it done, but they don't have it filled in behind it. They're going to fill it in part of the way and put in some. See, there was about 100 yards of that island gone.
Yeah.
On the south end.
Yeah.
And I remember that's where I used to hunt when I was a kid, or when I worked in the park in the 50s.
Oh, it was much bigger even when I was a kid. A
Oh,
lot of
sure.
that washed
I mean, you
away.
got all those trees falling off of there, and it's all sand is the problem.
Yeah.
And that current high water just
Oh,
devastated some of these islands. And
That sugar cut on a south wind, you do not want to be in there
No.
at all. At all. I mean, it gets rough.
What saved where we live is the banana. The banana diet.
Yeah.
That saved our ass.
Yep.
Now they put that in there after years of arguments with the Army Corps. They didn't know where to put dredge spoil, and finally we convinced them that's where you got to go. Save them. Why don't you go to Pointe Mouillee and put in dikes and fill it in?
Right.
and that saved upriver and downriver.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
I mean, that's huge.
Well, and I always have the talk to people too. There's limited space, I feel like, in Michigan alone with like refuge area compared to other states. So to be able to put that like here wise, I mean, obviously you got like your Pointe Mouillee, Harson's, Fish Point, like all those, but there's not like you see places like in Minnesota, for example, like if acre ponds that are like just massive that nobody can get into, that are just a waterfall mecca around.
Oh,
those
yeah.
parts. It's just like
But you do in Michigan, I don't know what the numbers are, but Michigan's way up there on
really
a high number of hunters, especially using Pointe Mouillee.
well,
In the area. More populated area, go, we're so close to Detroit and heavy populated areas.
Well, I mean,
They get ransacked.
we're the or the walleye capital of the world right now.
Yep.
Well, waterfowl hunters, yeah, but I'm just saying like refuge areas where like they're just holding birds and you got to figure out where to hunt around that
Yeah.
area. That's like hunters for sure. This area is just
Hey, here's
We're
something
loaded.
else- Here's something else I'll tell you before I fall asleep.
uh-oh.
Hey, I was a commercial fisherman
All right,
for quite a while.
you're out there fishing them smelt and all them fish
No,
filling
back in the
hot tubs up.
This is back in the 60s. I
They
never
caught
went-
everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, Clearwater Fish Company that was located on the Erie River on South Erie River Drive.
Water Fish Company. That sounds familiar.
The building is still there.
She's a little thief. I'm sorry for her.
You tried to steal
It's
it.
okay. The building's still there. We built that building. Anyway, we had two 42-foot trap net boats.
Okay.
One was wood, one was steel. The one boat was named the Susie K. Well, that's such. They came from Cooley Canal. They had a fish place down there. That family, the Such family had a dock down there that they commercial fished out of Cooley Canal down in west of Toledo, east of Toledo. So we used to trap net out there usually between the end of Stony Point and Heron River. And we'd set trap nets out there, probably anywhere from 8 to 10 of them between there.
Right.
And Peterson from Monroe, he was in the Raisin River, and he fished the other end, and there was another guy from what's that town south of Monroe?
Erie, Luna Pier.
Luna Pier.
Yeah.
He was just before you get to Luna Pier, he was there on the left side. But anyway, I forgot his name now. I knew him too. But we used to catch a lot of fish there. Well, we kept a cattle tank on the boat, an oval one, big as this, almost as big as this, long as this table. And at that time, you couldn't keep salmon or nothing like that.
Sturgeon.
There wasn't hardly any around. So me and Dutch, the owner, we went to over in Lake Michigan. God damn it.
I don't know.
I don't have a brain lock because I ain't got one.
I've been to Lake Michigan.
Muskegon.
Ludington.
Okay. North. So the Trav, that's cut you off. Trav is from Ludington. They own a sawmill up there.
Okay, so we went and got a wash tub full of eggs.
Okay.
Of salmon.
Gotcha.
Oh, geez.
Coho. So we go get them and we put them in the Erie River. We planted them in the Erie River. Guess what's there?
Coho.
Coho.
No kidding.
There was actually a coho salmon that was on the edge of Breast Bay Marina 2 years ago, just swimming across the shore.
They're everywhere now.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of them. They're not everywhere, but there's some out there. There never was anything like that. So, getting back to the trap net deal, we would catch muskies. We would catch muskies and all kinds of walleye and perch in the trap net. And then we could keep the walleye and the perch, but we couldn't keep no salmon if we got any, or we couldn't keep sturgeon or pike. So we catch sturgeon, 110 pounders or whatever, we put them in the cattle tank. The zoo would come and get them.
Sturgeon?
What?
The zoo would come and get the sturgeon? No
Come and
kidding.
get the sturgeon.
They come and get the sturgeon with Toledo and Detroit.
No kidding.
We call them and they would send a truck down to get them.
Wow.
They caught that massive one last year right off of Cellar.
That 8-footer or whatever? Or 6-footer?
It was close to, it was over 6 foot.
Was over 6 foot?
It was massive.
The guy laying next to it was over 6 foot.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a huge, and round wise, it was insane.
Oh, it was big. And when I seen when I was a kid, one floated up on the beach. Didn't have a head. Well, back then you didn't Google anything. I ran home. I thought just some kind of thing down there.
Yeah.
I looked it up. I got to the encyclopedia and I found out what it was.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was it. And then Dad's like, "Oh yeah, where's it at?" It's all rotten, but
I caught a lot of muskies. Pole fishing and hand lining.
Handline, I heard
Hated
the trip. Yeah, I heard it.
I hated them things. I carried gloves in the boat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out there fishing down. I'm in the Amherstburg Channel. I'm over there on the flats, and I hooked a big one on a Rapala. Well, Rapalas were $8 a piece, $7, $8 a piece. I don't know. 3 hooker. You ain't supposed to have 3 hooks there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm down there and I caught this in Tomahawk, buddy of mine. He's up the river from me a half a mile, but we got radios. So I hooked this thing and I get him up. I know it was a muskie. I couldn't see him, and I couldn't get to my glove.
Oh.
And I got pissed off because I told him I'm not going to lose that Rapala.
Right.
Too much for it. So I pull him up, I get him alongside the boat, and I reach over and grab him. pulled him in the boat, got him in the boat.
Oh, wow.
That thing caught my hand. Them gills. Don't
I'm
ever
sure.
put your hand in the gills of a
Muskie.
muskie. Don't ever do it. I bled so bad. I had to put a towel around me. I called him to come and get me.
No kidding.
Yeah, to come down there because I still got this fish laying there with the hooks in.
Right.
I said, you didn't get my lure. I don't give a shit if you die here or not. So I got my needle nose pliers out with my other hand, and I got the hook out of him, and I grabbed him, his mouth with the needle nose pliers, and got him up over the side of the boat and let him go.
Wow.
I am glad, though, not trying to get off the fishing topic, I brought up multiple times to people about the black milk jugs, throwing it out there for decoys, and just black jugs. The black milk jugs for decoys.
Yeah.
Nobody believes me they used to do that.
Yeah. I knew they did that, yeah.
But other guests that we've had on the podcast.
Nobody's ever heard of that. And I said that's the way they used to do it.
I didn't know nobody used them.
Yeah, right.
But I do know somebody used them gallon cans.
Right. Right.
That
Just
was me.
Yeah.
You know, a guy told me that. He told me to do that.
Really?
Some guy, he says, I told him, he said, well, where do you hunt? I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know about hunting.
See, that amazes me,
Yeah,
like
I mean-
how educated the birds are nowadays compared to back then.
Detailed. Well, I'm sure you could probably get away with it, though, still, honestly.
Think so?
Them early flights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Here's the difference. You didn't have the hunters back then.
Right.
True, yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing now.
You got more people waterfowl hunting now than you ever did.
Yep.
There were 10 people that hunted here. That was it. Down here.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Not anymore. You got
That's crazy.
hundreds.
of people. People come from out of state just to get the divers over here.
Yeah.
That's
But
crazy.
I
definitely,
had charters come from California. I had them come to here. I had them come from Kansas City to here. To
wow.
go hunting.
Well, nowadays, California could stay over there.
Yeah, they could stay over.
Yeah.
I went over there. We went what, 30 miles into California, turned around and went right back out. That was far enough.
I've been there, never hunted there.
No, but I mean, they came from there
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
to hunt here.
Yeah.
That's
I had one group that came there, 2 guys from.
We had a guy that came, he bought the charity hunt from Wisconsin. I think it was a Waterfowl USA.
Oh, yeah.
He was from Wisconsin, carved his own decoys.
Wow.
So he brings Minnesota. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Minnesota. He brings his decoys, and they were widgets,
Dad,
Really?
and they were beautiful. I'm like, he's showing us. I'm like, well, you won't need. He was going to bring them. I'm like,
Right.
you don't need that.
no, he brought them in
But
a bag.
he thought he could hunt with them.
Yeah, he had them in bags.
Oh, they were so nice. And he said, well, you're going to have to give us one.
Yeah, no
He
kidding.
gave
Yeah.
his dad one and myself one. It was beautiful. He carved and painted himself.
I would
Wow.
love to have a collection of just every species, which is obviously be super expensive,
Oh,
but of wood carved decoys, I find those like super fascinating.
Well, we're supposed to get that one guy on.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got a guy that is a really good carver. I gotta get back a hold of him, but he carves his own and paints his own
Oh.
picture just like you.
that's talent.
Robert Gohl, I believe it is. Gohl, I think his name is. He's from like Novi, I believe.
There's only a few guys that do it.
Yeah,
Not many.
Really do a nice job.
But like he's got like carvings with like divers going down and getting bullheads with like the ducks getting a bullhead with the bullhead in its mouth. I mean,
Oh, that's awesome.
it's unbelievable. Just the time and effort that goes into that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's what I look at.
Yeah.
There's
This guy hunted. He wanted to bring him out, and then he sat in the layout boat. 2 days he hunted with us. He was in the boat pretty much 8 hours, never left. Now there were ducks. It was one of them days, perfect weather for duck
For
hunting.
purchase.
yeah
For bird
for pearl fishing. Yeah.
And he was so dumbfounded that we were hunting near the shipping channel. And he couldn't figure out, he goes, I can't believe this. So he brought his camera. So I took pictures of him and the layout, blah, blah, blah. We went through the whole 9 yards, taking pictures of him like he's shooting. The last half hour we were there, he would shoot his limit.
Wow.
Wow.
Both days.
Wow.
That's
And he
crazy.
says, and I told him, like, you can get out and eat we'd bring them food.
We got hot dogs, soup, whatever we got.
He wouldn't get out.
He wouldn't get out,
I
but-
remember who that was.
I got it. Well, he signed.
I don't know.
He signed the bird, and I really appreciate that because that was pretty neat. He didn't have to do that,
Right.
but yeah, he enjoyed himself. He drove all that way, and he said,
That's
"Oh,
awesome.
I'm hunting."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but he got his birds.
With
There
your
is-
paintings and stuff, how do you take pictures of the birds and like do your paintings?
Sometimes, yeah, I do
Pictures?
some photographs.
Okay.
Okay.
I took a photograph of the Detroit River Light,
Uh-huh.
and I painted it right from the little photograph.
Okay.
That's all I had. I can show you a picture of it.
I mean, just so much
I
skill
got
in
it on my
itself.
phone.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of those pictures.
Anyway,
Yeah.
All the originals are hanging up in his house.
Yeah, I'd
Really?
I got all of them.
Let me know what officer, DNR officer, and police officer I got to talk to get that permission slip to get into that house.
We're going to need two of them, actually, because I'm going with you.
Yeah.
And they got to be signed,
Yeah.
not just by the chief, but by me.
Probably by the mayor, by the sounds of
There ain't
it.
no problem with the chief. The problem
I'll go through a whole background check. I don't care.
Hey, you guys come over.
I'd love
We will. We'd love to.
You live in Newport.
Yep. There is one thing I do want to say, though. I do want to appreciate you guys for what you are doing with the Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl
Thank
Festival. You honestly made my childhood worth it.
Oh,
Because it was the best time of my life when me and my dad and my grandpa and my uncles would all go there and everything and hang out there. And it was some of the best times of my life going to the festival and hanging out and seeing everything that was there with the layout shoots and all the crafts and arts and all that. So I just really want to appreciate you guys for doing that.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
We hear that a lot because
So-
it's been around 75 years.
Yep.
I've been going there ever since he dragged me down there, and then I couldn't get home.
Yep.
And then when we were old enough, we rode our bikes, and then we sold stuff. But there's a lot of history there, and the best part is this started with duck hunters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys arguing about who can do the best layout spread, who can punt the fastest, who can roll the fastest, who shoots the best.
Right.
Yep.
And this is how it started, just by guys arguing. Now it's 75 years, actually a little bit
Crazy.
longer than that, since 1947.
Right.
That's I can't even believe that.
And it's and the money goes right back into which
Which
goes
is
right
huge.
back into Pointe Mouillee, but it also helps the community.
Yep.
Makes it a better place. And a lot of people say, well, where's the DNR doing? Well, they're working, but you know what? And probably if you ever heard this, if you negotiated a contract, there's only so much money in the bank.
Right.
So that's the way it works. And we supplement, we buy stuff, and we work with other groups like DU, where there's always projects inside the Pointe Mouillee State Game Area. We're helping out just like they are.
Everybody just wants like above and beyond with stuff, and they don't realize what
Yeah.
it takes. And
Oh,
those are the people that aren't even willing to put 5 minutes of effort in to help
yeah.
out. at all.
And right now, I don't know when this is aired, but May 20th, we're going in.
This will be aired next week.
Okay.
So
May 20th, we're getting together to do a cleanup between.
The river cleanup.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing Celeron Island tomorrow because it's opening turkey season today. The river keeper's doing the
22nd.
Yeah. So we don't have enough people, so we asked we'll just clean it up the 15th, which is tomorrow.
What time is that at?
We'll be there at 8 o'clock. We're actually meeting at Big Al's for breakfast and then putting the boats in.
What time are you guys thinking about putting the boats in?
8 o'clock.
Oh, we're putting the boats in at 8.
8 o'clock, and we'll be over there 8:30 or so.
Okay, because I'll be out.
Bob Burns' outfit ain't going to be there.
No, he won't be there because they're doing the Detroit River
Cleanup.
cleanup is actually the 22nd.
okay.
But we don't have enough people, so between Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Fest and Gibraltar Duck Hunters, we're all going over. There's like 8 or 9 of us.
Now, Bob knows that.
Yes. Yeah, he all knows it. And we're going to go over and clean up. Plus, May 20th, we're going to clean up Pointe Mouillee and Erie State Game Area.
Okay.
Okay.
So if there's time, we'll see how it works out. But,
Can
you
I throw a pitch in here, by the way,
yeah.
if you don't mind? Who the hell is shooting all those shells at Point and Post State Game Area and not picking them up? Remember that video I sent you? Oh my God, it was
Just piles of them.
Oh, you ever been to Point and Post State Game Area?
That's where my grandparents, great grandparents used to live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Shoot and skeet and not picking up the empties there.
Oh,
There's-
that's out there on Pointe Road.
Yeah, that's
I know right where it is.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I was just over there the other day, and I actually
He doesn't even listen. He already knows.
I FaceTimed Kyle, and there was, I had to have guessed at least
Over 100.
300 shells just laying there. It was unbelievable.
Oh,
I
yeah.
told Bobby to pick them up.
Yeah.
He threw you under the bus. So, hey, these stories, you want to kind of break out some more stories from there?
No, but you know, that was all private property. The guy that owned the property, I used to work with him.
No kidding.
Yeah, he worked at McLeod. He made steel. He was a steel pourer. Had a pond back there.
Yep.
That's the problem with a lot. I mean, people dump their trash. They're, leaving debris when they're going hunting.
Yeah.
Carl Jandro. That's the guy that owned the property there.
He worked at McLeod too?
Yep.
Well, you said you were in Trenton or Gibraltar?
What?
The plant, Trenton or Gibraltar?
Both.
You were at both?
No, I worked in Trenton.
Oh, so you knew about the
I
little...
was president local for 8 years.
So you knew about that little, what was it, a locker that opened up to a whole gambling room back there?
So what?
There was a locker that opened up, and you walked into a whole room.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
Yeah. The guys there would open up the locker, and you go in there, drink or whatever, and do what you got to do and gamble.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but it was a locker room.
They had a bar in the mill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now more stories are coming out. I'm going to have to bring this up to my grandfather.
Hale was the bartender. Anyway, he got fired for that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I got you.
Anyway,
Oh.
I was going to tell you something about that damn plant, and I can't think of it. I'll think of it.
Yeah.
You're
Okay. Go, what were you saying?
What?
Well, we'll go back to that after we get done here.
Yeah, I think.
I'm going to go get my phone.
All right.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up here because we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So
All right, let me get it.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt me anymore. I just want to plug the festival.
you want me to shut his mic off real quick?
The history of the whole downriver area.
Yeah, no, let's hear this for sure.
We've got a couple events going on. I mentioned the island cleanup Saturday.
Oh,
And
She'll get out of your way.
May 20th to clean up at Pointe Mouillee. So if anybody's listening, they can come out. They can contact me at PointeMouilleeWaterfowlFestival.org. Give me a shout. Whatever they want. Or I'm sorry, PointeMouilleeWaterfowlFestival@gmail.com.
Okay.
And then I'll give them all the info. We're going to serve food on the 20th.
Yeah, I'll put all this in the description for the podcast too,
Oh,
the
that'd be
email
awesome.
and everything. So in the website. all
And
that.
we got a fishing tournament coming up June 3rd.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I knew about that one. Yep.
And the weigh-ins at the VFW with the Downriver Walleye Federation. So we got all kinds of stuff happening, and of course we have the Bill Barr Memorial Shoot at Canvasback Gun Club. It's $50 for a steak dinner and a shoot. And it's a lot of fun.
July 22nd.
July 22nd. That is.
Starts at 9 a.m.
Now, the fishing tournament's 22nd.
No. That's June 3rd with Downriver Walleye
No.
Federation.
Well, there's another fishing walleye tournament, isn't there? Opening day of turkey season.
Yep,
That's with you
22nd.
guys as well, right?
No, that is with Steve Falwell's putting that on for the fundraiser for the Gibraltar Fire Department.
Gotcha.
That's a good one also. It's fish
Yeah.
fry
Right.
right here at Captain Jim's.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm actually fishing in that one.
Oh, are you?
Finally getting out.
There you go.
I'm going to hopefully get fishing in once we get the island cleaned up tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
Well, if you need jigs to go into that that gallon bucket of yours over there, let me know. I'll get you.
I got
Coffee
so
can,
many
coffee can.
The
jigs.
coffee can. Yeah.
And you know what? It's practical because it's easy to store.
Yeah.
Right.
I can throw it anywhere and put the top on it. It drives him nuts.
Is it is it red?
It is
It's red with
It's
a black top
it's
on
a
it.
Folgers.
You can't miss it then.
Oh no. And they're indestructible.
Oh, yeah.
And if you start sinking, you could bail out the boat with it.
But you gotta think how many people use coffee cans to hold all their screws and bolts and all that.
My grandpa still does.
Oh,
yeah, and they don't break.
My grandpa.
No, they're awesome.
But
And of course, the festival is September 16th and 17th. And come out and see what we're all about.
September, right? Yeah.
September.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but we're
There's-
definitely pushing that for sure.
Well, I say, I say you will find both here in River Outdoors and Great Lakes Outdoors and
Multiple other guests that we've had on here.
Yep, they're coming out to you. So we're happy to bring more people too to come.
Good. I'm excited about hearing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope you guys come out because it's a good event. It's good for kids.
Yeah.
Get them out and see. There's stuff for every age to do out there. So, and the shooting events are cheap. It's $20 for adults, $10 for kids. All you got to do is bring a gun.
Yeah.
And we supply everything else.
That's crazy.
Can't beat that.
So it's a lot of fun. If you never punted a boat, get in there. I mean, there's
Just
guys.
try it.
Just try it.
Right.
There's guys that get in the layout boat, can't hit water.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you know what?
me.
But it's all about getting out there and having fun.
Yep.
Right.
And when we were kids, we did it, and you weren't very good at it, but that's how you learn.
Yep.
Right.
And
It's
not
fun.
many people punt anymore, and we got all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd like
it's a
to
lot of
try
fun.
it. I'd like to try it.
Do it.
I might.
I think you should.
I'm sure your sister could run your booth for a minute.
If you pay me enough, Trevor.
It goes. It's a lot of fun to do.
You said what?
To go layout shooting?
I've never layout shot before.
Well, that's another thing you got to get.
You're going to have to come out with us.
I'll trade you a hunt this year if you want.
Yeah.
I'll get you guys both out on a field.
I did. I just built a brand new layout boat in 2020.
I'd love to try it.
Nice.
Yeah.
2-man?
Two-man.
Sweet.
Slightly different. Slightly wider than a normal K-line.
Fiberglass or?
No, it's wood.
Oh, wood? Okay.
Yeah.
Truck.
It took me about 3 months to build it.
Really? Was that constantly working on
No, it
it?
wasn't
He
constant.
built a
Okay.
beautiful layout.
It's real nice, and I had to design it because I got big feet.
Gotcha, yeah.
So I can't stand it when I get in with a layout boat and I can't move my feet.
Right.
So, but it's a 3/4 cockpit. It's nice.
My layout boat would sink if I built one.
Yeah, it took me a while, and like I said, it took me a little while to figure out what I was doing first.
Yeah.
And I had to actually have a Jim Foote plan for his layout boat.
Oh, really?
And then we have a K-Lash, and then with his directions from the last one he built. So it's a combination of three.
Wow.
But
Okay.
but I had to build it because I'm a bigger guy, taller. So it's 3 inches wider than normal.
Oh, I'm hitting a button here. There we go. Okay. Well,
No, I appreciate you guys both coming on.
Yep.
And
Thank you.
If you guys are available for kind of a part 2, because I feel like I could talk to both of you guys all night. We didn't even get into turkey hunting. We didn't get into walleye fishing or anything.
No.
we could sit here and talk all night.
Guys gave him a microphone. That was it. I'm lucky I got a word in edgewise.
Well, I think that intro went for about 45 minutes there, which isn't a bad thing. I
No.
like hearing that stuff for sure.
But I really appreciate you guys coming on and doing this
Well,
and,
thank you.
giving us your time and everything. So,
Hey, it's our pleasure. But let me just point out one thing.
okay.
Bobby, he started from the ground up by himself, really. I mean, he went with me on every move I made, almost hunting. Pheasant hunting, duck hunting, and whatever. But he did a lot of it by himself. Along with his buddies.
Yep.
You know. And the other thing that wasn't discussed here, I don't think got nothing to do with hunting. But he's a high-powered hockey player. He used to be.
Go heavy on the youth.
He played semi-pro hockey.
Did you really?
Yeah, sort of. It was, it was a while ago.
Okay.
A couple years of that. And now I'm paying for it. I got bad knees, bad shoulders.
He had
Yeah.
surgery on his shoulders.
Can you draw a bull back still?
Barely.
Barely.
I mean, I got to work at it, but last year I didn't practice much because I built a pole barn, which about killed me. And then I had to use his crossbow, and I shot a real nice 8-point.
Did you?
Yeah.
You have to show me a picture after we're done here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not used to.
Nice 8-point.
And I'm not used to. I got to practice a lot.
Yeah.
And I never drew it back, so I borrowed his crossbow, and I was in the tree stand about 4 hours. And then I had to get home because I had work to do, and then building this barn was not a good time,
Yeah.
money wise and time wise, but
Yep.
I had to get it done. So
That damn deer come by. Oh, jeez.
we're out.
All right, his
we're out.
turn. His turn to tell a story now.
We're duck hunting, and we got a bunch of people in the boat. Here comes the feds. And I'm like, they pull up the layout boat wrong. They're in a cabin cruiser. I go out there and I yelled at them because I wasn't sure 100%. But then they all threw their badges out. They come into the boat. Lo and behold, he knows them.
I'm sure.
So they sat there and the guys are in the boat because they always check the guys in the layout boat first. So they started talking to us, and it's the last day of the split season.
Birds are probably dumping in.
And actually, I can't remember if it was a real good day or whatever, but these guys, they started talking. 45 minutes. I think everyone thought we were giving information on everybody. But the guy, they didn't eat with us, though.
No.
But there was 3 feds and a DNR officer. And finally he goes, well, are you going to check us? Or what are you doing?
Right.
The guy goes, well, we're here. So we got our license out after they checked everybody, showed them our shell boxes, did the whole number, But that's another tough job they have.
Yeah.
He ends up knowing them.
This
ain't the first time. Of course, we all know that most of the DNR officers that were, back in the day and the ones now, but yeah, they got a tough job.
Yeah.
I do. And the first thing I showed Bob when he started hunting was take the plug out of your gun.
But I appreciate you guys having us on here and giving an opportunity, to hear his dad's stories for an hour and a half. But allowing us to promote the festival and the stuff that we do there, I do appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
No, thank you. Thank you.
I can't wait till you guys come on out.
Yeah,
We'll be there.
Here's the other thing.
Oh,
It's the only operation like this one at Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Festival in the United States.
Really?
I don't know if you know that.
Didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
We're probably the only one that gives all our money back. If there's any out there, I don't know. I don't want to badmouth any because they all do good, but we give all our money back.
Really?
And they're all volunteers. We got 100 people or better.
All the profit we get goes back into the money.
that's awesome.
And we're talking, it's probably $20,000 just to put it on.
Right.
Tents and buying shirts and stuff, and we got to have that money set aside.
Well, we're happy to be a sponsor for the next Waterfowl Festival coming up here.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Now, here's what I'm looking for. I hadn't discussed this with Bob, but I'm looking for somebody to sing the national anthem, and he said you'd probably do it.
What's that now?
Sing the national anthem at the festival.
National anthem?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a voice of a god, there.
If you want me to break every glass of that building out there, I can do it. But otherwise, I'm not your guy.
You might see that water doing 4-footers coming.
Oh, yeah. There'd be no wind out there, but it looked like east wind coming through.
Bobby, I forgot I didn't drive.
I know.
I went out there to get in the truck.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway.
We'll bring in our phones here in a few minutes.
No, you're good. Yep. I say we'll guess we'll go ahead and end it here. This is your Waterfowl Wednesday, so
like I said, I really appreciate you guys coming out. Definitely have to have you guys back out again to talk about whatever stories you got coming for us, and make sure we get some time and hopefully do a little bit earlier or something next time. But
somehow you're going to have to be able to cut his mic off so someone else can talk.
I know. I can't. I keep thinking of stuff.
I think there's a lock in the bathroom. We'll be all right.
He's got a lot of good stories, and most of them are true. But he's just barely. That's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Really.
So
we would love to come over and see the pictures and everything, and
No, but like I said, and you said, everybody for the Waterfowl Festival, take a look at it.
I'm just going to repeat this real quick. So it'd be September 16th and 17th is a Saturday and Sunday. That is when the Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Festival is going on for 2023. So
we will be
75th annual one.
Booths are free.
So guys want to come out, get a booth, get a hold of these guys. You can email them at, what's the email?
Pointe Mouillee Waterfowl Festival at gmail.com.
Which will be in the description, right?
Yeah, it will be in the description below, and the website, pointemouilleewaterfowlfestival.org. And get a hold of Bob or Dick Whitwam, and they'll point you in the right direction. So,
Your phone on you a lot?
Pardon me?
You got your phone on you a lot or no?
I got
everywhere he goes.
Gotta crack it.
are you on
Rings the bell.
are you on Facebook at all? Yeah.
What are you at, Cracker Barrel a lot listening to that phone or what?
Well, all right.
No, thanks everybody for listening, tuning in to the next one, and appreciate you listening as well.
Yep.
Till next time.
Next time.